Let go of me. You're hurting me. My 7-year-old autistic daughter Emma was screaming as our HOA president Karen dragged her from our car. Emma was having a meltdown, but Karen called her a defective brat, while yanking her arm. Karen didn't know I'm a U.S. Senator. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. I had parked in a spot Karen claimed was reserved for important residents only. Your autistic brat is making too much noise, Karen yelled, dragging Emma across the parking lot. I'm teaching her some manners. Emma was flapping her hands and crying, completely overwhelmed by the sudden physical contact and loud voices. As an autistic child, she needed routine and gentle handling, not aggressive strangers grabbing her. I had just returned from a Senate committee meeting in Washington, D.C. and was still wearing my official Senate pin. But Karen was so focused on terrorizing my daughter that she didn't notice who she was attacking. Take your hands off my child right now, I shouted, jumping out of the car. I'll handle this situation however I see fit, Karen screamed back, tightening her grip on Emma's arm. Your defective kid is disrupting our peaceful community. Emma was sobbing now, completely overstimulated and scared. Mommy? Make her stop. She's squeezing too hard. I immediately called 911 while approaching Karen. This is Senator Patricia Martinez. I have someone physically assaulting my disabled child in the parking lot of Maple Grove Apartments. Send police immediately. Karen finally looked at me properly and saw my Senate pin and official credentials. Her face went white as she realized she had just attacked a U.S. Senator's daughter. Wait, you're a senator? I didn't know. This is just a misunderstanding. Ma'am, there's no misunderstanding about you dragging a 7-year-old autistic child from a car. Release her immediately. But Karen's shock quickly turned back to anger. I don't care if you're the president. Your weird kid doesn't belong in normal housing. Emma was having a full meltdown now, rocking back and forth while Karen still held her arm. The overstimulation was too much for her nervous system to handle. Please let me go to my mommy, Emma whimpered. I don't like strangers touching me. Well, maybe you should have thought about that before making all that noise, Karen snarled. That's when I heard the sirens approaching. 3 police cars pulled into the parking lot, followed by an unmarked federal vehicle. Capitol Police had been notified that a sitting senator's child was under attack. This is Officer Martinez, the lead policeman announced over his radio. We have a situation involving Senator Martinez and her daughter. Karen finally released Emma, who immediately ran to me and buried her face in my jacket. She was shaking from the trauma of being grabbed by a stranger. It's okay, sweetheart, I whispered, holding her tight. Mommy's here. The bad lady can't hurt you anymore. Officer Martinez approached Karen with handcuffs ready. Ma'am, multiple witnesses saw you physically assault a child. You're under arrest. This is ridiculous, Karen protested. I was just trying to teach that autistic kid some proper behavior. Someone needs to control her. Ma'am, autism is a disability, not a behavior problem, Officer Martinez replied. And physically assaulting any child is a serious crime. As Karen was being handcuffed, she kept ranting about how autistic children ruin neighborhoods and lower property values. Her hatred was shocking to hear. Captain Rodriguez from Capitol Police took my statement while Emma sat in our car, slowly calming down with her favorite stuffed animal. Senator Martinez, we're treating this as an assault on a federal official's family member, which makes it a federal crime. We're also investigating possible hate crime charges due to your daughter's disability. I want the maximum charges filed, I told him. Karen specifically targeted Emma because of her autism. This wasn't random violence, it was disability-based hatred. Emma's aide, Mrs. Johnson, arrived within minutes. She was specially trained to help Emma through difficult situations and immediately began using calming techniques. Emma, let's practice our breathing exercises, Mrs. Johnson said gently. Remember how we breathe like a sleepy cat? Emma began the breathing pattern she had learned in therapy. Slowly, her shaking stopped and her crying quieted to sniffles. The mean lady grabbed me, Mrs. Johnson, Emma said in her small voice. I told her I don't like being touched, but she wouldn't listen. I know, sweetheart. She was very wrong to touch you without permission. But you're safe now. As the police finished their investigation, neighbors came forward with stories about Karen's harassment of other families with disabled children. Mrs. Thompson from apartment 3B told Officer Martinez, Karen has been complaining about my son with ADHD for months. She said hyperactive kids should be medicated into silence or removed from the community. Mr. Chin from apartment 5A reported, She told me my daughter with Down syndrome was offensive to look at, and suggested I keep her inside during community events. Mrs. Davis from apartment 7C revealed even more disturbing information. Karen tried to get me to sign a petition to ban mentally defective children from using the community playground. She said their presence made normal families uncomfortable. The pattern was clear. Karen had been targeting disabled children throughout our apartment complex for months, building up to this violent attack on Emma. Detective Williams arrived to handle the federal aspects of the case. Senator Martinez were charging Karen Williams with assault of a minor, battery, child endangerment, federal assault on a senator's family, and hate crimes targeting a disabled individual. How serious are these charges? I asked. She's looking at 15 to 20 years in federal prison. Assaulting a child because of their disability, especially when that child belongs to a federal official, carries severe penalties. Emma was finally calm enough to give a brief statement with Mrs. Johnson's help. The lady was very loud and scary, Emma told Detective Williams. She grabbed my arm really hard and it hurt. I asked her to stop, but she said mean things about me being autistic. Emma, you did nothing wrong, Detective Williams assured her. The lady was very bad to hurt you and she's going to be punished. Will she go to jail so she can't hurt other kids like me? Yes, sweetheart. She won't be able to hurt anyone for a very long time. That evening, I called an emergency session with my Senate staff to discuss legislative responses to disability-based violence. What happened to Emma today happens to disabled children across America every day, I told my chief of staff. We need federal legislation with real teeth to protect these vulnerable kids. Emma's attack had opened my eyes to a problem I hadn't fully understood before. As a senator, I had the power to create change that would protect all disabled children. My staff immediately began researching similar cases across the country. What we found was horrifying. Thousands of disabled children faced harassment, assault, and discrimination in their own neighborhoods every year. Senator Martinez, my research director, told me, we found over 2,000 documented cases of disabled children being attacked by neighbors, HOA officials, and community members in just the past year. Most cases never make the news. The next morning, Emma asked me why some adults are mean to kids who are different. Some people are afraid of what they don't understand, baby girl. Karen was scared of your autism because she's ignorant and hateful. But autism just means my brain works differently, Emma said with the innocent wisdom of a 7-year-old. It doesn't make me bad. That's exactly right, sweetheart. And mommy is going to make sure other people understand that too. Emma's school, Sunshine Elementary, had an excellent special education program that helped her thrive despite her challenges. Her teacher, Miss Rodriguez, was specially trained in autism support. Emma is one of our brightest students, Miss Rodriguez told me during our next meeting. Her autism gives her unique perspectives that benefit our entire class. She notices details other children miss and has incredible focus when she's interested in something. Before Karen's attack, Emma had been making excellent progress. She was learning to communicate her needs better, making friends with neurotypical children, and developing coping strategies for overwhelming situations. But the assault had set back some of her progress. Emma became more anxious around strangers and needed extra support to feel safe in public spaces. Trauma affects autistic children differently than neurotypical kids, Dr. Sarah Peterson, Emma's therapist, explained. Emma processes sensory information more intensely, so the memory of being grabbed will be stronger and more lasting. Dr. Peterson worked with Emma using specialized trauma therapy techniques designed for autistic children. They used visual schedules, social stories, and sensory tools to help Emma process what had happened. We're teaching Emma that the attack was not her fault and that most adults are safe, Dr. Peterson explained to me. She's learning to identify her feelings and ask for help when she needs it. Karen was held without bail because the judge considered her a danger to disabled children in the community. Her lawyer tried to argue that she was just enforcing parking rules. Your Honor, Karen's attorney said, my client was attempting to address a legitimate parking violation. She didn't intend to harm the child. Judge Thompson was not impressed. Counselor, your client physically dragged a 7-year-old autistic child from a car while screaming about her disability. Intent is irrelevant when the action was inherently harmful. The judge also noted that Karen had a documented history of harassment against disabled residents, making her a continued threat to the community. Karen's case attracted national media attention when news outlets learned that a senator's disabled daughter had been attacked by an HOA president. This incident highlights the daily challenges faced by families with disabled children, I told reporters during a press conference. Emma was targeted specifically because she's autistic, and that's unacceptable in any civilized society. The interviews were difficult because I had to balance my roles as a grieving mother and a public official seeking justice. I wanted to protect Emma's privacy while also using our story to help other families. During the investigation, FBI agents discovered that Karen had been planning escalated attacks against disabled children in our complex. They found her computer filled with research about legal ways to remove disabled tenants and correspondence with other HOA officials about creating family-friendly communities, code words for excluding disabled residents. Senator Martinez, FBI agent Johnson told me, Karen had detailed files on every disabled child in your complex, including their schedules, routines, and specific disabilities. She was systematically planning to force all these families to move. The FBI found emails where Karen had written, "These defective kids are ruining our property values. We need to make their lives so miserable that their families have no choice but to leave." During Karen's trial, the prosecution presented overwhelming evidence of her pattern of harassment against disabled children. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," Prosecutor James Wilson said, "the defendant didn't just assault one child. She systematically targeted multiple disabled children in her community, culminating in this violent attack on Senator Martinez's daughter." Security footage from the parking lot showed Karen approaching our car specifically after hearing Emma making autistic vocalizations. She had targeted Emma because of her disability, not because of any parking violation. The footage also revealed that Karen had been watching and following Emma for weeks before the attack, documenting her routines and waiting for an opportunity to confront her. Expert witnesses testified about the impact of physical assault on autistic children. Dr. Michael Anderson, a pediatric autism specialist, explained to the jury how traumatic events affect children with autism differently than neurotypical children. Autistic children like Emma process sensory information more intensely, Dr. Anderson testified. Being grabbed and yelled at by a stranger creates overwhelming sensory input that can cause lasting trauma and regression in development. Dr. Lisa Chin, a specialist in disability-based hate crimes, testified about the broader pattern of violence against disabled individuals. "What happened to Emma is part of a nationwide epidemic of violence against disabled children," Dr. Chin told the jury. "These attacks often go unreported because families fear further harassment or don't know their rights." Emma was allowed to testify via video link with Mrs. Johnson's support, so she wouldn't have to face Karen in person. "The mean lady hurt my arm and said bad things about me having autism," Emma told the jury in her quiet voice. "I don't understand why adults want to hurt kids for being different." The jury was visibly moved by Emma's testimony. Several jurors wiped away tears as they watched this innocent child describe being attacked for her disability. Karen's defense tried to claim she was under stress from dealing with problem residents in the apartment complex. But witness after witness testified that Emma and I were model tenants who never caused problems. "Senator Martinez and Emma are the quietest, most respectful residents we have," apartment manager Mrs. Davis testified. "Emma occasionally makes vocalizations related to her autism, but they're no louder than normal children playing." Mrs. Rodriguez, our upstairs neighbor, testified that Emma was actually one of the most well-behaved children in the complex. "Emma always says hello politely and has never bothered anyone." Karen's complaints about her were completely unfounded. The trial lasted 2 weeks. The jury deliberated for only 4 hours before returning with their verdict: guilty on all counts. Karen's face crumpled as Judge Thompson read each guilty verdict. She finally seemed to understand that her hatred had destroyed her life. "Karen Williams," Judge Thompson announced, "you have been found guilty of assault, battery, child endangerment, and federal hate crimes. You will be sentenced to 18 years in federal prison." "Your Honor, please." Karen sobbed. "I was just trying to maintain community standards. I didn't mean to cause real harm." "Ms. Williams, you specifically targeted a disabled child because of her autism. You showed no remorse for traumatizing a 7-year-old girl who has never hurt anyone. Your actions were cruel, premeditated, and inexcusable." The sentence also included a $500,000 fine, restitution for Emma's therapy costs, and a permanent restraining order preventing Karen from contacting our family or living near facilities that serve disabled individuals. Emma was in the courtroom for the verdict. When she heard guilty, she squeezed my hand and whispered, "Does this mean she can't hurt other autistic kids?" "That's exactly what it means, sweetheart." 6 months after the attack, I introduced the Emma's Protection Act in the Senate. The bill increased federal penalties for crimes targeting disabled individuals and provided funding for disability awareness training in communities. This legislation is named for my daughter Emma, who was attacked simply for being autistic, I said during the Senate floor debate. But it's for all disabled Americans who face discrimination and violence because of who they are. The bill included provisions for enhanced penalties when disabled children are targeted, mandatory reporting of disability-based harassment, and federal funding for inclusive community programs. The bill passed unanimously and was signed into law by the president. Emma was invited to the signing ceremony at the White House. Emma, because of what happened to you, millions of disabled children will be safer, the president told her. You're a hero for all kids who are different. Emma was shy but proud during the ceremony. She whispered to me, "Mommy, does this mean the mean things that happened to me helped other kids?" Yes, baby girl. Sometimes bad things can lead to good changes that help lots of people. 1 year after the attack, Emma had made remarkable progress in her recovery. She was back to her normal routines and had even made new friends at school who appreciated her unique qualities. Emma teaches us that being different is actually really cool, her friend Sophie told me during a playdate. She knows everything about dinosaurs and can remember every birthday in our class. Emma's autism, which Karen had seen as a problem, was actually a gift that enriched our entire community. She started a dinosaur club at school where she taught other children about paleontology, and her detailed knowledge amazed teachers and students alike. Emma can identify any dinosaur from just seeing a single bone, her science teacher told me. Her special interest has become a valuable resource for our entire curriculum. Karen served her full sentence at Federal Correctional Institution Dublin, where she was required to participate in disability sensitivity training and community service with special needs organizations. Prison reports indicated that Karen gradually came to understand the harm she had caused. She wrote letters of apology to all the families she had harassed, though most chose not to respond. Our apartment complex hired a new management company that implemented strict anti-discrimination policies. They also created sensory-friendly spaces for residents with disabilities and their families. The new management installed quiet zones, sensory gardens, and visual schedules throughout the complex to make it more accessible for residents with different needs. Emma's story inspired communities across the country to examine their own treatment of disabled residents. Many HOAs and apartment complexes updated their policies to explicitly protect disabled individuals from harassment. The National Fair Housing Alliance used Emma's case as a training example for property managers and community leaders nationwide. 2 years later, Emma is now 9 years old and thriving. She's in mainstream classes with support, has joined the school's science club, and dreams of becoming a paleontologist who discovers new dinosaur species. I want to find dinosaurs that nobody has seen before, Emma told me recently. Just like how I see the world differently because I'm autistic. Emma has also become an advocate for other autistic children. She visits schools to talk about autism acceptance and helps other families navigate the challenges of raising autistic children. Being autistic means my brain is like a special computer, Emma tells audiences. It works differently, but it can do amazing things that regular brains can't do. Today, when Emma walks through our neighborhood, every resident greets her warmly and many stop to hear about her latest interests. Children who once stared now ask her questions about dinosaurs and include her in their games. The parking spot where Karen attacked Emma is now designated as a quiet zone, where families with sensory-sensitive children can have extra time to transition between their cars and their homes. A small memorial garden was planted nearby with sensory-friendly plants that Emma helped choose. The garden includes a plaque reading, "In honor of Emma Martinez and all children who teach us that different is beautiful." What started as a hate crime against an autistic child became a story of legislative change, community healing, and national awareness about disability rights. Karen lost 18 years of her life for her hatred and cruelty. Emma gained federal legislation in her name, a more inclusive community, and the knowledge that her differences make her special, not defective. Most importantly, Emma learned that when bad people try to hurt others because they're different, good people will stand up and create change to protect everyone. The bruises are gone, but Emma's courage and the laws that protect disabled children remain forever, making the world safer for all children who dare to be different. ****